I have another confession for you this week. If you've ever struggled with perfectionism or control issues or have been a chronic people pleaser, I think you'll relate. Now, if you don't struggle with any of these, keep watching anyway, because surely you know someone who struggles, and this might help you better understand how our crazy minds work. Okay, here goes. I agonized for days over this week's post because I put myself under all this pressure to come up with some kind of new insight from the Easter story. A new insight that you've never seen in the Bible before that would draw you closer to Jesus and help you fall more in love with Him. So I read several times through the last few chapters of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, hoping to discover that brand new insight, and I didn't find any. Now the key phrase here is brand new insight, because I did come up with the same beautiful story that has been told again and again for centuries, as if that wasn't good enough. But no, instead of enjoying the richness of the Easter story, I found myself stressed out and frustrated. I kept listening to that voice inside my head that said, "Your blog post should be much, much deeper now that you're not working a full-time job and you have much more time to write and to study." Where did that come from? And why did I feel the pressure to discover something in the Easter story text that no one has ever heard before? Nobody's even making me choose the Easter story. And that took me back to one of the main points of last week's post. Here's something Timothy Keller said that I shared last week from the notes I took straight from his sermon. He said, "The difference between a Christian and a moralist, or a good moral person, is this. Christians repent for what they did wrong, but they also repent for the reasons they did right." Let that sink in for a second. Christians repent for what they did wrong, but they also repent for the reasons they did right. Now this statement is just begging me and begging all of us to ask ourselves the question, why do I do the good things I do? So I had to go back to the beginning and check my reasons or check my motives. When I started this blog, I truly believe I did it because it was a God-honoring way to, number one, get closer to Jesus myself, and number two, to help as many people get closer to Jesus as I possibly could. But as I examined my current reasons for writing each post, I found that numbers 1 and 2 had gone down in rank. At least this week, I'm not quite sure when it happened, and they were replaced by a new number 1 reason, which when I took the time to honestly search my heart, I found was this. Here's the reason. To get more people to like me and to be impressed with my deep spiritual insight. Okay, if you're still watching, why did I just have you sit through my personal confession? Especially if you would be never tempted to pressure yourself to write a blog post hoping to impress people and get them to like you. Well, it's because I believe that one of the scariest yet most liberating questions we good church people can ask ourselves is exactly that. Why do I do the good things that I do? My concern today is for what happens in the unchecked heart of the person who, like me, finds herself doing all kinds of good things with the impure primary motive of wanting to be liked by everyone. Or for the unchecked heart of the person whose primary motive for serving in that ministry at church is to keep the people in her church from thinking she's a slug. Or that unchecked heart of the person who is doing other good deeds because deep down she wants to prove her worth, either to herself or to others. Or doing good deeds to fulfill her need to be needed, or her need to be seen as important. Or doing good deeds to fulfill her longing for the pastor and other leaders to notice her, or even doing good deeds to feel like God now owes her something. I think many of us are a lot like me, who start out serving and doing good with the purest of motives. Lord, I want to know you more, and I want to help other people know you more. But somewhere in the hustle and bustle of life, these pure motives, without us even realizing it if we're not careful, begin to be outranked by a more selfish motive, like wanting to be liked, wanting to be noticed, wanting to be needed. Then what happens is the love, the joy, the peace, the patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, all these wonderful things that Jesus offers those who simply remain connected to him, the true vine, they become replaced by disappointment. Oh, I didn't get the likes or the response that I hoped for. Or replaced by pressure. Oh, if I just work harder, I can impress even more people. Or replaced by anxiety. What if I never get more people to like me, or notice me, or need me? Christian families, organizations, and churches are filled with these kind of hardworking yet frustrated or broken-hearted people. Oh, but there was a guy named David in the Psalms who already experienced this and prayed the perfect prayer that we can pray to bring our motives back into alignment with our loving God. Psalm 139, verses 23 and 24. I invite you to memorize this prayer and pray it daily with me. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. And oh friend, we know that Jesus is the way everlasting. And as we approach this Easter Sunday and remember his most selfless act of love in all of eternity, may our selfish motives and our anxious thoughts, may they be left at the cross. And may our hearts be consumed by him and by the price he paid to love us completely, setting us free from the need to be liked, noticed, or needed. Bless you, dear friends, and happy Easter.